Ready?
Hello, welcome to this month's episode of the Host Club. Today we are discussing the three popular manga that we chose for this month, which were Skip Beat, volumes 1 through 3, and we are also discussing one volume of the more obscure manga pick, which is Mashle, volume 1. So before we get into it, welcome, but also I would like to introduce the other hosts that are with me this time. We just have these other two hosts. Normally we do have one additional person, but she's not feeling well right now. So Steph, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about some stuff you do on your channel?
Sure. Hi guys, my name's Steph from the channel Coffee Over Apples. What do I do? A lot of sci-fi is happening this year, and more horror coming up in the works, and drawing a lot of bookmarks for custom book reviews and game stuff. That's the plan. Go ahead.
So hi, I'm Preet from the channel The Bookish Nook, and I too make. I'm also into manga and anime, and I make a lot of bookish videos, play a lot of TBR games. So yeah.
Awesome. And you're on my channel. I'm Rachel. So hi. So I think first we might want to talk about Skip Beat, volumes 1 through 3, and then later on we will discuss Mashle for a little while. But before we get into that, next month, whose channel is it on, and what books are we reading?
So it's on my channel. Yes, it's on my channel, and we're reading volume 1, 2, and 3 of Demon Slayer and volume 1 of Given. So basically, Demon Slayer, we follow our main character Tanjiro, whose sister is like she gets attacked by a demon and she's turned into a demon. So he's on this journey to find the demon who converted her into a demon, so that he can turn her back into human. So basically it's his journey into becoming demon slayer, and like the whole journey. So that's the basic premise, and I'm not totally sure about Given, but I think so it's basically about a rock band and stuff. I'm not totally sure about it, but I think so it's like based in a rock band, and uh, yeah, that's what I know much about it. But I heard so good things about it. Yeah.
I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes of Given, and it's supposed to be like a high school setting, and there's a new kid who can sing really well, and he somehow kind of befriends somebody who's in a band, and I think that guy ends up in the band, and I think it's like a queer romance, but it's also like a bit sad, so I don't know how much of that will be revealed in volume 1, but I think that's the premise of it.
Yeah.
Nice. We haven't done any music stuff yet, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be really fun.
Yeah.
But we can talk about Skip Beat first, I guess. So we are going to do spoilers, so if you're watching this, then please be aware, we're going to spoil volumes 1 through 3. But first off, do we have any general thoughts or star ratings or anything we want to talk about?
So for me, I feel Skip Beat, I mean, I liked it. I'm not like, don't get me wrong, but then it was a bit more texty. Like, I'm not much into mangas which have a lot of text basically, but it was fun. Like, I liked it, but certain parts I was kind of getting confused. Like, the style was that way, but like certain areas I was getting confused who's talking, because it was like the drawing style is kind of like similar to like 2 to 3 characters, if that makes sense. So
Like
I feel that
over and over again.
Yeah, I feel that was one thing that I was like, not like, I liked Skip Beat and it was fun, definitely fun. But that area, I feel if it was a bit more not that way, I would have enjoyed it much more.
I think that's fair. Like the whole scene, I didn't really struggle too much with like them looking similar, but I did in the section where Kyoko and I forget her name.
Ruri?
I think it might have been when they were both dressed like she was an extra on the scene, and they were purposefully dressed alike. Like I got confused with the text at that point, but that's just because the point is that they were supposed to be dressed alike.
Even
Yes.
really early on, I think in volume 3, they're like yelling at each other, and you can almost like not tell who's saying what or something because they look so similar. Yeah, like this scene, like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to say
Yeah.
who, but you can you can figure it out context clues if you kind of say like who's saying this. Oh, you lied about this, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand who too.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
the art style was also very 2000ish. Like, I'm not much into such like I don't know why that is with me, because I don't know, like it's nice, but at the same time, like since I've been reading much more of the recent, art style based mangas, I just feel I do not connect much to those old style art of like manga art. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
I actually
I
really
think
like
that's
this style. Oh, sorry.
no, I
Go
was
ahead.
just saying, I feel it's just like my personal opinion. Like, obviously, it may vary with you guys and stuff. So,
Yeah. I think I really like the style, but I think it was coming from like a place of nostalgia because I remember in like early 2000s a lot of manga having this very similar kind of style. So I know what you're talking about, but I really liked it for that. I felt like I was back in like what is a bookstore that closed down a long time ago? B Dalton,
Borders.
like Borders. Yeah, I used to sit there and read Skip Beat, so I was kind of like,
Yeah, Skippy is a very nostalgic series for me because it's probably like the first non-magical girl type like manga thing that I ever read. Probably. So I read it when I was very young, and I think I probably got to like volume 20 something, and then I probably eventually stopped or something. But going back to it, I was like, I remember this scene. I remember when this happens. But for some reason, now reading it, I was like, oh, the art style's way better than I remembered it to be, because back then it was just sort of like you have like the same exact face, and you have either like a really long, like yaoi face, or you have like this like feminine face. But also like if you just look at panels by themselves, or you just look at the art by itself, like this is really beautifully drawn. Like
it's
each of
pretty,
the
very
things that
pretty.
he does is really cool. And then also I really like that with the acting that they portray. It's sort of just like, these moments where you can kind of see like this person's getting really serious, or like they'll have a certain look in their eyes. And I just think the author and illustrator just do a really good job of like setting those moods with these art styles. I will also say though, with like the dense text, this is like one of the cases where you have to read everything, like even the really, really tiny stuff that's like down here, and you're like, what? Because a lot of the times the speech bubbles would have someone say something in very small text, and if you don't read it, then the sentence doesn't make sense from one bubble to the next. You know what I mean? So it would be like, oh, I saw, and then in like small text it'll say like Kyoko was over there, and that's why she was doing this, and you're like, what? Like you have to read everything. So at times it does kind of feel like it stifles the flow of the manga. I can agree with that. But at the same time, I guess it's like it's kind of nice to like see all those tiny little details here and there. I don't think it's always necessary because sometimes I don't like that. But at other times, I guess it's like a decent balance, a little bit here and there. Also, hi, hello.
Thanks for coming. Let us know what you thought of the manga, if you finished them or if you read any of them.
Yeah, please do.
But
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know how many people manage to like get through the stuff by this time of the month, because it is like only the 18th.
Yeah, it's still early. Yeah. But that's okay because Rachel's birthday is next week. Yay! Happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you.
So exciting. But speaking of faces, I would say the only thing I didn't like style wise is the guys' faces. They were like super long.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I found.
No, continue. I'm looking for something specific.
No, I was just saying, like, compared to the girl faces, I found girl faces pretty beautiful. Like, I found them so, like, really pretty. But then with the guys, it was like, okay, I'm not used to seeing, such manga type guys. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like, okay, they portrayed the guy looking so good looking, and I'm like, okay, he doesn't look good though, but like, Yeah, I mean, obviously at that time they might just see that kind of character, good looking or whatever. But I was like, nah, this is not for me. But yeah, I get the point that long faces was weird, totally. Yeah.
It's so funny because again, like when I was younger, I used to think that it like didn't look good, or like I didn't think it was like terrible art or anything like that. But I guess I was like
Yeah,
reading it now, where I was like, oh, I always thought that like their faces were like way more like disproportionate. But now when I look at it, I'm like, this is more accurate, because a lot of the times when you read manga, it's like a shonen boy who's like 15, so he's going to have like a very small face and like small features. Whereas like you'll see someone like Ren Saruga, and he has this like very very long face, and it's kind of like, is this accurate or is it not? But then you'll see some panels like this where you'll see both Ren and Sho, and they look like pretty like proportionate.
yeah.
They do. I
Yeah.
just want their jawline to be a little bit more defined.
Yeah.
You're just like a cone. Like they're so I don't know. And like as
But
you keep the series, you'll see more and more of those like cone shapes that like there's no jawline.
But I'm sure the mangaka did a really good job in drawing, because honestly speaking, if I had to draw that, I wouldn't be able to draw that well, honestly speaking.
Speaking of mangaka, so I did like the use of like the tones and like the textures in the back, and it kept making me think of Miyazaki-kun and those panels where they were like struggling with
Yeah.
with the tones. It was like skills right here.
It makes a big difference. But yeah, what did you guys think of the characters that we have in this story?
Definitely the main girl. Okay, what's her name? I'm sorry, I'm bad with the names. I was Momoko, right?
Kyoko.
Right?
Kyoko.
Kyoko, sorry. So yeah, so I really liked her character, because like in the first volume, as they show, right, that show he like kind of uses her in a way. I was like so scared that she'll like lose spirit and stuff, and then they just show she like uh, gains willpower from how people hate her, which was so good and so different to see, because like I haven't exactly read something like this, because it's always the person feeling dejected and not even like feeling super dejected about how people see them as. So it was such a good like way to portray
Refreshing.
your character. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I loved her.
Yeah,
So much.
I totally agree.
Literally,
Great.
she was the definition of girl boss. Like it's like I am like literally when she compared that she's gonna be the Dardum, the dolls that like you hit and they come back out, those dolls. I was like, oh my god, that comparison is like so good, like because I never thought of it that way. It was so like kind of inspiring, if I like, if you say, I mean, if you think it as, I really like that comparison as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, hello. Thanks for coming to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I really like the series. Perfect.
Did you finish the series? And also, that's a question that I have that I was looking up. Is Skip Beat still going, or is it done?
That's a great question. For like, I in my mind just believe it's always still going, because I literally was still reading the series ongoing when I was probably like 14 or something like that, and it's still going now. So it just feels like it's a lifetime. But I honestly don't know, because I went to the library the other day and they had like more and more volumes. So I don't know. Oh yeah, Arcade Stumbling Bear says it is still ongoing.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a really long manga.
Oh yeah, it started in 2000s and it's still going, which is literally so good. Like, oh my god, you need that level of dedication to write so many volumes and draw, literally.
Yeah.
So I know wasn't there an anime adaptation or no?
Yes, there was, but it was very, very short. I think it only had like 8 volumes worth of content, and that was like the entire thing, and they never continued it.
What?
That's so sad, because honestly, it's like when animes have that, it's really sad that they don't continue that. I mean, I get that point that they might not. Wow, 30s.
Yeah, I saw like 38 or something maybe at the library.
Wow.
So
That's great.
Yeah. I am always sad though, like you're saying, like whenever they have great content in the manga and then for some reason just doesn't take off enough that they have to just end it somewhere. And I just remember ending it really abruptly in the anime. Like they didn't really conclude like did she beat Sho? What happened? Like, it seemed like maybe it was set up for a season 2 and then it just never happened.
Devil's line all over again.
Same. Like I'm so pissed. Like you like okay, one thing that I get it is that I mean another thing that I'm sorry I'm deviating from the whole topic, but like one thing is that if the anime doesn't have a season 2, even though the plot line is super amazing, and second is when mangaka goes on a hiatus on an ongoing series and you're like caught up with it because I mean I get it like they have issues with their hands and they can't draw continuously, but it's like please complete the manga and go. Like I'm like please like let's not torture us. So yeah, I just feel that like, but it's okay.
I approve of this hot take.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we all know, obviously, if people take a hiatus, it's probably for a good reason. But as a fan, it's just sort of like, it's for the best of you so that we don't just do scribbles next time. But at the same time, please.
Yes.
Or I just would like at least to know, like, if the person is planning on taking a temporary break or if they're just like, I don't feel like continuing. Like, that's fine if they don't want to continue.
It's just like fanfictions that don't update ever again, and you're just sort of like, one day, maybe.
For example, like the Hunter x Hunter mangaka like stopped, even though there was a remake of it in 2020, like 2019. It's completely on hiatus. It's like the mangaka is in critical condition, so he's never. I don't think so. He's ever gonna come back. So that's kind of yeah. So.
I mean, a very good reason for hiatus to be in critical condition. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought like, I mean, I get it, like drawing in general takes energy. I never thought that, they'll have such issues when they draw like, manga because obviously readers read it in like, 1 hour in sitting, just one volume, and they might take like, 1 month to draw one whole volume, or more than that. So it's kind of like I pity them, but at the
no matter what, like consumers will consume things like 100 times faster than it takes to produce a tenth of it.
Exactly.
Like it's so much harder to create something, and also you know that it will probably be criticized, even if you do your best on it. So it's so much work to create a piece of art, and especially when people really adore that art, then you can't really let them down. So. Like back in the day where I was like, oh my God, I want to be a manga artist. I was like, how do you do this? Like, how does it work? And I just kept reading like, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but like, or if you guys see this a lot, but sometimes when you read manga, there'll be like the little sidebar panels and stuff from the mangaka. And I used to read the time for my favorite mangaka, and it was always saying like, stories about what it's like and the different like assistants and what was happening. But it seems like it takes like 1 day to produce 1 page. And so, and especially if it's a really beautifully drawn page and you can't just like draw garbage on the next page and draw a beautiful thing 1 day and then draw garbage for 4 days in a row, then it's just like every single page that we read in a second where we go like, all right, and then what happened? And then what happened? And then what happened? Like we don't ever, consume things at the rate at which they're created. So of course we're going to kind of take it for granted. But it's so much harder to produce something like that, and that's your livelihood too. And you have to provide for all the assistants that are helping you too. So it's definitely like kind of a thankless job in a way. Like it's very hard.
A friend of mine does comic books for a living, and it'll take him over a month to do a volume like this, but they pay per page, and like you said, like it could take an entire day, depending on like the quality or like the style that you're doing. Like if it has a lot of detail, a lot of tone overlay, a lot of line work and everything, it could potentially take a whole day, but they only pay maybe like $10 a page or something like that.
Exactly.
So it's a lot. It has dedication.
Yeah, and also some mangaka like really work so hard. Like One Piece, I've heard that the creator sleeps like maybe 5 hours a day and just works from like morning till night, every single day. Never took a break. And like, how many volumes of One Piece are there?
So many.
There's so many, and it's
Think
still
about that.
ongoing. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah,
But
but
dedication to this.
let's skip beat because now we're going
Yes,
into the
yes.
most
I'm
humorous
so sorry.
conversation.
No, that's a
It's
good.
fine.
This is why we need to do more live shows.
No, it's great. But back to what we were saying before, I also love Kyoko. I love her fighting spirit because she really is like a more unusual protagonist. I think she still has certain elements of a typical anime protagonist or a manga protagonist because she still is like pretty humble in certain ways, but she doesn't have monologues about it, which I appreciate. Like she's not like, oh, I am good at this thing, but I can't let them know. Blah 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 blah. It's more like when the opportunity presents itself and then she shows what she can do, then people are really impressed. But she's not like harping on it. And she also is like just naive enough about what she does that she's still charming. Because like she's not like, oh me, I didn't do anything. I've never done anything in my life. Because then at that point it's sort of like, yes, you did. Like, come on, you did. But when she helps with Ruriko and has changed the way that she is because of this intense rivalry she had, that she's not even really aware that like she did that, but it's not something that she harps on because she's still thinking of like, I'm focused on my goal. So like, that's nice, whatever you're talking about, but how do I accomplish this thing that I want? And I love that her goal is revenge because it's such a rare thing. I think most shoujo manga in this realm of genre, I guess, would be more like, oh, I want to get close to this celebrity. But for her, when she's like, I want to get close to this person, it's like, so I kill him. Like she's so different. But she's so headstrong in the things that she wants, and yet she also realizes that like she has a lot to learn, and she has like the different elements of her life that are built up that have provided the opportunities to do the skills to do the things that she needs to do, but she still has a ways to go. I was really loving. There was a part in volume 3 where she's realizing that all the different things that she did for the I think it's supposed to be like the tea master's daughter role that she was like Rico for. She's being walked home and she realizes like, oh, I learned how to do this because I was doing it at Sho's family's inn, and I learned to do this because I was always taking care of Sho. And then she finally realizes like, I'm completely empty inside. Every single thing I did was for him, and now it's broken. And now, why am I who I am? Like, what makes me who I am? Because every single thing that I've done has been for him. And she just sort of like breaks down for that short moment, which just felt like such a real, like, human moment that really showed like a lot of her inner spirit and character, besides just being like, you know, I'm going to fight, I'm going to be so angry and strong and whatever. But she still has that very human moment. So I thought that was really great that they actually put that in this manga. Because I think that's usually something that maybe we wouldn't see right away.
Honestly speaking, I really liked because it was really at times it was funny as well, which I really liked because it was like light but obviously dense in the text part, but it was light, like you know you can chill out and read such kind of mangas. And it obviously, like when she tells them, right, that you know I am joining this because I wanna, like you know I wanna come up to the level of Show. So now everyone thinks, right, she wants to get close to him. So like the way she thinks is really admirable because you know, as you said, right, like the female lead character in a shoujo manga or anime always has the focus to get the guy's attention, and she's like, no, I hate Ren, I hate Show because they don't value me, I have to value myself, I will live up to that. And obviously it was so fun to, like, not fun in the sense, like it was good to see that there was reality check as well going on, that she knew that she needs to know things, she needs to learn things. So I kind of like really liked that part, and now that you have told it, it more feels more prominent. I feel so yeah, I think so it was really nice.
I'm really interested. Like, I didn't get that far in the manga, but how she's always having these like flashbacks to the family that took care of her and like
Mm-hmm.
how they were like teaching her different things. I wonder what's their take on how he treated her and like what the dynamic was.
Mm-hmm.
Because correct me if I misunderstood this, but I think it was his family who took her in, right?
Yeah.
Um, it seems like she was always hanging around their house so that she could hang out with him
Mm-hmm.
because she always loved him from a young age. So when she was there, they were kind of like, oh, when are her parents going to come to pick her up? And because she didn't want to be a burden to them so that she could continue to hang out there, then she just became like the best possible like customer service type person that
Mm-hmm.
worked for them. So that way they were always like, oh, it's such a pleasure to have her over. Of course she can stay. Of course she can be here. So
Okay.
like her parents were still in the picture, but it seems like because she and Sho like ran off to Tokyo together, they haven't really had any contact with the family. I
Mm-hmm.
would wonder like how the family's reacting because it seemed like Sho always fought his parents because he was like, I want to be a star, and they were like, anyway, it's not going to happen. Why don't you take over the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it also kind of seems like I don't know how much of like Kyoko's interest they ever had at heart because the thing that makes Kyoko break down is when she realizes that she was trained to do all these things at Sho's place because they were basically training her to become his future wife to take over the thing because the only one that would pour the tea is the proprietress, and she would only become the proprietress by taking over the business because she married Sho.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
And
Oh, okay, okay.
there was like a scene where her mom like walked away and she was like calling
Yeah,
out to them.
yeah,
They're like, yeah, come back. So we didn't really see it that much of that yet. I do
yeah.
remember it being talked about more later. I don't
Okay.
remember much later in the series, but yeah.
Okay.
I was a bit sad when she won the competition between her and the girl, right? Ryu, I think so. Her name was, and I was a bit disappointed. I felt like she did it so well that she should at least be given a part of the movie, like, because I feel she deserved it. I get that point that the director would have to go through complications and stuff, but I was a bit sad that she put so much effort into the whole thing that I really wanted her to like get at least some recognition that she deserved. I don't know why it was done, but probably later on she deserves, like, gets what she deserves probably, but I don't know, but I was a bit disappointed with that part, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they explained happened was that the director was asked by the president to kind of reform Ruriko, who's always constantly quitting stuff just so she can get her way. So she goes, I
Hmm.
quit, until the director will come over and be like, okay, let's do it your way so we don't quit. Because she was already included in all of the imagery for the movie and all the advertising, then it would be very difficult to switch that stuff out. So
Yeah.
when Kyoko was kind of up for the role, he was saying like, oh, it happens all the time that actresses and the directors have a difference in artistic vision, so then we could switch out the actress. But in reality,
Hmm.
he wasn't really ever planning to do so because the president
Yeah.
basically made him lose his entire job because the president has that
Hmm.
power. And the only thing that he wanted was to reform Ruriko. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like it's very it very much fits the trope of the character who always has to like constantly prove themselves, and they do so and they impress everybody, but they don't really get the classic reward that we as a viewer look for or we as a reader look for,
Hmm.
because we kind of expect like if you work hard and you succeed and you're better than everybody else, then you should win, so you should get the role or whatever it is. But I think very often that doesn't really happen right away, and it kind of would ruin the rest of the series if it was as easy as just like she's an amateur who happens to be really good at tea ceremony, therefore she made her debut, therefore what happens in the rest of the series? Nothing, because she already made her debut. fast. I think that it usually does consist of like several trials for the main character to really like prove that they're good at this, they're good at that. Okay, now they really deserve it. Now maybe they'll have like a random like breakout role. And I think that like, you know, it is somewhat a reflection of the movie industry that like just because you work really hard doesn't mean you're just going to make it. But it also kind of is like a fantasy version of a movie industry, in my opinion, because it does seem like kind of weird to have a random president who's just like, yeah, you know what? I have this section called the Love Me section, and you can join it, and then you can just be a part of this thing, and your job is to just do what everybody tells you to do. Like, it is still kind of ridiculous to have something like that, but it is still fun to see like the actors on set and to see, you know, what it is that they're being asked to do and the sort of performance that they might have to put on, and that it's more than just walking on set in a costume, but you still have to embody that role the entire time. And like, because I read this from a young age, that was always something that made me like look at movies differently and think like, are they really like acting the entire time as their character, or are they doing something differently? And as the series progresses, we see more and more opportunities for Kyoko to kind of prove herself in very unique ways that prove that she's very, very smart, not just like good at acting. She's also very good at thinking of like what is asked of me in this moment, which we sort of start to see at the end of volume 3, when all of a sudden they're like, why don't you play the older sister in the way that you want her to be done? Do it right now. Like, you have like 20 minutes or something like that, whatever it was. Like, you have an hour. And she just has to go out there and do it. But she has such a like creative way of going about it that is very satisfying. If you do like those,
definitely.
I do.
Yeah, I thought
I really liked it.
Kind of like realistic, because like when working, like I've experienced when working on projects before, if you have like a last minute substitution and you have to fill a spot, then you bring someone in to fill that spot. But like that person's impression, I think, does matter, because then later on that opens up into like opportunities like this, like, yes, like what's being said right now of like, yeah, she just did a small tea ceremony and like she doesn't really get a part in the actual movie, but she made an impression on the staff, and so who she knows now is going to open up more doors for her later on.
Yeah, and I think as like a catalyst in the story, it also does a good job of still saying like Ren is a formidable opponent for her in acting, because she realizes like, oh, what I want is to be able to act on his level, because now she actually recognizes him as a person who can make her react in a certain way, because that's how good his acting is. So for her to think like, how do I get to be a point where I can just make my face and my expression and my voice like look and sound a certain way, and then create the reaction that I want out of somebody, which I think we actually see in like volume 4 or 5, and it's like one of my favorite moments in any manga ever. It's so great, and it's part of the whole situation with Moko, who I actually wanted to ask you guys about. Moko is the girl who looks like this, the long-haired girl. That's not her real name, but she always says Mo for some reason, so she starts calling her Moko. What did you guys think of her?
Okay,
Honestly,
so I just want to say
it's okay. Go on.
The whole idea of the Love Me section, I feel like this, I can totally see some like Produce 101 or like, you know, those making a band shows doing this like reality TV section, and that's where like the Love Me fits in. It's like, I'm waiting for that to pop up. Like there's been a camera following them this whole time or something. Like, I don't know.
That would be so fun, honestly. That would be like the best, honestly.
Were you saying, Preet?
Momo, I said that would be so fun.
No, I said, what were you going to say before that?
I was just gonna say about Momoko. I don't have any thoughts about her, honestly, because
Really?
we saw her. Yeah, like, okay, so I don't know. I'm really confused about her, because it was like fun to see the banter between them in the first volume, but then it's funny how she also ends up in the Love Me section as well, because she was all going on about her she'll get to the final stage and she'll become the actor and everything, and how the things change. And I'm kind of curious to see how her and Kyoko's relationship develops in the next volume, because it would be so fun seeing how, whether they become actual friends or does their relationship stays thin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Steph? What did you think of Moko?
I like her so far. I feel like she's a good middle place between what Kyoko's goal is, which is like she didn't come into this with the same mentality as everyone else in these competitions of like, I'm doing it to be famous because I want to be famous. She's like, no, I'm doing it because revenge, right? It's like two totally different mindsets. And I think I keep forgetting her name. What's her name?
Moko?
Momoko.
Just
She is
Moko.
like, so she is kind of in between there and also what I guess Ren and like the other girl, the one she did the tea ceremony with, the really like stuck up actress. She's like kind of in that middle place of like she wants to be in this really famous role, but she's kind of like understanding what it means to be humble, I guess, maybe through interacting with Kyoko or something like that. So I'm interested in learning about her more later.
Same.
Um,
What about you?
I
What did you?
Moko. I love her so much. I think she's so great because she starts out as a bitchy character, which is always like my thing where I'm like, oh, you're gonna be somebody. But she starts out as like a rival character, right? Because in the first audition ceremony thing, she's kind of like, what are you doing here? We're better than you. And she immediately kind of like distances herself from everybody, like even the other people who are kind of like her, where she's just like, I'm better than everybody here. I'm going to succeed. I know that I will. And her talent is incredible. It's perfect for acting, where she can look at an entire book and she goes like, okay, blah, 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 blah. And she can like recite it perfectly from the book and everyone's very impressed. And then the moment when she fails and is then assigned to the Love Me section is when she's able to read a character and give a different opinion on it. And I kind of like, I don't know if this is really like on purpose or if it's going to be revealed at some point later, but I kind of feel like the people who end up in the Love Me section are the people who are real people, who have actual opinions about real life and are not just going to say whatever to please the director. Which I understand why they would kind of like filter out for that, because if you want someone to do a good job, you ideally don't want someone who's going to fight you at every angle. You want them to follow the script, you want them to do their job, and then you go home and you both get paid. But Kyoko failed it because when she listens to the voice on the voice says, I cheated on you with a bunch of women, but then I realized I love you. Will you take me back? And she's like, no. And everyone else is like, oh my God, I'm so happy. So like the correct response is to be like, oh, it's okay. You cheated on me. I want to be with you. I love you so much. The end. And Kyoko's like, no, like, why would I be okay with that? And of course she pictures show and all the ways that she was betrayed, but she has like a real human emotion to it instead of just like, this is what the director wants, so here's what I'll do. And in Moko's case, everyone says like, oh, I see that this character has a problem with her family, but here's how I would do it so that like it seems like she's such a happy person and everything's wonderful. And meanwhile, Moko looks at it and says, this person's very unhappy and I don't think this will change at all because she doesn't see anything about personal happiness. She only understands family happiness. That's like a very real take. It's a very real take about what real life is really like, and that's not what the director wants to hear or what the president wants to hear. So I find it so strange that actually like the people who actually really do understand human emotions better are for some reason like filtered out of the crowd of people who are supposed to go on and become big celebrities later, because it seems like people who will just say like, haha, it's fine, la 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 la, probably can't really connect with their character well enough to truly portray the emotions that they should have. And I don't know how much they value that, because it seems like for all of the trials that Kyoko has to go through, it's about really embodying your character's emotions. But I just don't feel like any of these actors or actresses that went through all of these roles would even be able to do any of that, because they're just there to please, you know? So that, I mean, that's why I really like Kyoko and Moko as people, because it seems like they actually get it. And then they end up in like the worst possible position, but they both have real talent that they're able to kind of prove as time goes on, and to, you know, ideally kind of like succeed beyond the people who always thought that they were just better than them. And, you know, I think Moko and Kyoko together being paired in the Love Me section is like a perfect dynamic where they were at odds, they were rivals at first. Moko very much is like, I do not want to be part of this Love Me section, do not talk to me, I'm not in this. And as soon as they're like, and we'll waive the tuition, she's like, I'm a Love Me member, like, don't you forget it. And like, you know, she just wants what she wants, but knowing that like, okay, I'm stuck with you, then she kind of becomes a cheerleader in like a very like backwards sense of like, don't you dare embarrass us in the Love Me section. You better do a great job. I know that you can do it, so don't embarrass us. So she has kind of that like, is she cheerleading you on or is she insulting you? You're not really quite sure, but I don't know. She's just such a fun, interesting character, and what she gets to do in some of the coming volumes is really, really fun. So I really do like her. She's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she does sound like an interesting character. Like, I definitely would like to know like how things progress for her and Kyoko as Love Me like as a member of the Love Me section, because honestly, like the things they are doing, it's just showing how talented they are actually and how much they're not getting recognized in the way they should be. So I'm
Mhm.
actually looking forward to know how things go ahead for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other character that I found, I like, we should wrap this up soon so we can talk about Mashle. But the other character that I really, really appreciate more now, I think, looking back on it as an analysis, I really like Maria's character because I feel like the artist and author did a really good job of putting her in a scene where she has to watch somebody else who's a fictional character, and everybody loves that character. Everybody adores her, even though she supposedly caused her mother's death. And meanwhile, she, as a real person in this, is thought to have caused her mother's death, even though she didn't. She just asked for her mother to be there for her birthday. And everybody is so awful to her behind her back. But to her face, they're like, don't worry, it's not your fault. And because she feels like I'm strong enough because I've been through this trauma and this pain to be fine with it, which is probably really unprocessed trauma. But at the same time, it's like she thinks I've been through so much and I can deal with it, so why can't you? And I feel like that's a very human thing as well. And I really like that we get to see that because now Kyoko is in a position where she has to prove herself for this trial, and that's why this arc exists in the manga. But it's not just like, here's trial 1, here's trial 2, here's trial 3, but it's something really truly interesting with the characters that are involved, that we get to see somebody who has like a really very close personal life connection to what's happening in the play or the movie or whatever it's supposed to be, and then she can really directly say like, this isn't right because of the pain that I've suffered, you should make it worse for this person, and you feel like everything is so easy for you, and meanwhile you have no idea. And she's really kind of like working through her own unprocessed trauma in that. And also she's like 7, so it's like really, really extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's something that she's going through there. Also,
Yeah. Hi.
yeah, what did you guys
I
think of that?
agree. I
Yes.
agree. Like honestly, with I I mean I find it human, I agree, but like I totally agree with what you said, and it was really human to, you know, a lot of things that I see in this manga are portraying reality in a way that I feel we don't see it often in mangas, because mangas or books are usually escape mechanism, but
Yeah.
here when we see this, it's like it's more to do with reality as well. Like obviously the fantasy element is there, but the way the mangaka shows the reality is unique and kind of like it with the whole thing going on. So
Hmm.
I feel that is kind of relatable and really human with what he portrayed with that. Yeah.
Would you guys rate it before we move on to Mashle?
I originally gave the first 2 volumes 4.5 stars and the third one 5 stars. But now I feel like the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, I love this series so much. I kind of just want to give everything 5 stars. But yeah, that's a lot of my nostalgia talking, but I also just think it's a great series. What about you guys?
So I gave the first volume 4 stars, but then I felt I feel I will increase my rating because I gave the second and the third volume 3 stars because of it being too texty. I think so. I'll like pump it up to 4 stars for all the 3 volumes because after the discussion, my thoughts are like really, it's really good kind of state. So I feel I will pump it up to 4 stars. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave volumes 1 and 2 4 stars, and I feel pretty comfortable with that rating. Like I do have a lot of nostalgia with this series, and it's a lot of fun. And I gave volume 3 3 stars just because like I still thought it was fun, but I didn't enjoy it at the same level that I enjoyed volumes 1 and 2. So
Oh, interesting. I feel like Volume 3 had a lot more of like the human moments, which always is what appeals to me. But I always like to see like a character break down and see like their inner thoughts of like what is causing this most like relatable human thing, which is like not escapism, but it's more of like the connection with the character. So for me, that's always
Volume 3 had a major Volume 3 had a major cliffhanger too, which I am really intrigued to see how things go in Volume
yes.
4 with that.
Do you guys think that you'll continue with the series?
yeah,
I want to, but I feel I will continue like once
later.
I'm done with my on. Yeah, like I will, but not like right now. That kind
Yeah.
of thing.
I think maybe like next year I'll pick it up after I finish. Let me
Oh.
finish all the manga I'm reading right now, and then just add that to the end.
Oh my god, like, because the thing is, like, I've been enjoying manga so much lately, but it's so easy to get consumed into it. So then I'll find myself like halfway through a series, and I'm like, do I want to start another one? But I'm reading this one right now. So, like, I have 11 volumes of Attack on Titan on my floor right now from the library. I have 5 volumes of One Punch Man downstairs, and I'm about to go to the library and go get the rest of Skip Beat. Not like 40 volumes of it, but like a couple more volumes of it. And I don't know, like it's so fun to like marathon the whole thing, and then it's so hard to like get sucked in with it. So I don't know. I'm on a big manga kick myself, but yeah. So before we have to go, we have like 15-ish minutes or so, but let's discuss Mashle. Volume 1, which was our obscure pick. This is sort of like a combination sort of between like One Punch Man and Mob Psycho. That's not like the official advertisement, but that's how it was advertised to me personally. And this is a story about a guy who lives in a very magical world where everyone has magic abilities, but he doesn't. He's just really, 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 really strong. Kind of the way that One Punch Man is, where he can just, like, for some reason, he can fight magic with his fists, because that's just how strong he is. But he has like flat reaction to a lot of things. So, in general, what do we think? Was it fun?
Okay,
Cool?
I really want to gush about it because honestly, I loved it. Like, I don't know why, but like, obviously, I could see so much. Like, I could think when I was reading it, I was thinking about Saitama because that's how much he reminded Marsh, right? He reminded me of Saitama because he had the power and he was like so easygoing. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like it was so hilarious to see. He was like okay and chill about everything, and I'm like, okay, this guy is like super cool. And honestly, it was really fun. And I really enjoyed it honestly. When I was reading, even though it was a bit long, like the chapter wise, but I was like, okay, this is so good. Like, I want to know, and I feel I will continue this because it's so interesting. Like, I really want to see how, like, in the end of the first volume, how he ends up fighting
Fights that guy.
Yeah, because oh my god, this is so interesting. Like, please pick it up. It's so good. Like, I love it already. Like,
I'm so
volume 1
glad
is
you
so good.
liked it.
I loved it
Yeah.
too. Literally, okay. I mean, I felt like an entire Harry Potter parody, and someone just
Same,
said, like,
same,
let
same,
me turn
same,
Harry
same.
Potter into a manga and make it better. And I was just like, yes.
Exactly.
So good.
I
It
was
so
gonna say
funny
that,
because
yeah.
it really feels like it's Harry Potter. Like he's in a magic school and he has to play Quidditch and he has to ride a broom. But like it's almost like what if at every corner instead of like how do I get out of this scenario, Harry Potter just beat everybody up. Like that's basically like every time, like, at the very very beginning, when they're like, you have to go to this magic school, they're like, here's a fight move that would attack a dragon and kill it, and he just punches it away like nothing. And they're like, huh? Okay, all right,
Okay, I don't know whether you guys would agree with this, but the first teacher or professor,
Hi,
the
Cammy.
first teacher the first teacher or professor who takes the like their like challenge to get into the school kind of reminded me of Snape. I don't know why.
Yeah,
He was like the
I
snobbish
think
kind of character. And I mean, I was having so much fun because it was like really bringing back nostalgia because of how much Harry Potter vibes it had, and obviously Saitama, kind of. I really enjoyed it, honestly.
yes, I remember reading. I don't remember if it was the first professor, but I remember going through the book and just being like, "Oh, that's Snape. Oh, that's Dumbledore. Oh, that's
Yeah.
whoever." Like, it was just
Yes, yes.
so
Oh my God,
the
Dumbledore. Yes.
the moment I like literally laughed out loud so much when he was taking that quiz and the words were squiggling and he's like,
And
"Hold
just like,
still."
please clap.
I'm crying.
God,
So
that
good.
was so funny. Oh my God, and he was such a nice person. I mean, he was gullible in times, but he didn't seem gullible. Like he would be like the student kind of I don't know. He kind of tries to come under the influence of the popular kid, and he does stuff to him, right? And still, Marsh is like, "Oh my God, thank you to be my friend. You've been so helpful." And he's like, "Oh my God, do you even know what I've been doing?" That was like really fun seeing him gullible. And I actually like a character like him because he's kind of humble, but at the same time he will not take shit from you. Like he'll be like, if I need
Yeah.
be, I can beat the shit out of you. Like you don't have to talk to me.
Because I think Mash is the kind of person who like really doesn't have any introspective thoughts. Like he just takes the moment for what it is. So when he's like, I
Yeah.
have to take a test now, he's like, okay. Or when they're like, why did he do all that? Why didn't he just set everything up beforehand? Did he just want to show off? Like he doesn't think twice. Like he has no filter. He's just like, oh, he probably just did that to show off. Oh, are you like really strong? Do you think that you're really stronger than everybody else here? And everyone's like, oh my God, don't say anything like that. Like we're all thinking it, but you don't have to say it. But he's such a like unfiltered person that when he's like, I can do this thing, or like, oh, I dropped some, like he's just like he says every single thing that pops into his head, but what he does is so against the status quo. When they're like, I want to fight this person, or I want to do this thing, most people would cower and think like, how can I get out of this scenario? Maybe I could trick somebody, and he just punches them in the face, like, oh, are you like the vice president? I'll punch you in the face too. Like about authority or anything else, and then like the Dumbledore type character calls him into the office and is like, well, you've been written up and supposedly expelled, and he's just like, okay, like he's just okay, and like whatever, and he's like, but what would be worse is like to allow this to continue, and he burns up the expellation paper, and then he's still just like, cool, thanks, like he has no like
No thoughts.
I love how he's like casually walking in the market having cream puff, and the guy challenges him, right? Like, come to meet me in the evening, and he's busy making cream puff, and the next day they meet and he's like, where were you? And he's like, I was busy making cream puff. And I'm like, this is so much like Saitama, because Saitama would be like, oh, I was busy getting the offer in the supermarket. Oh my God, that was such a Saitama trait. Like I was like, okay, this is official. He's like his twin brother or something. But yeah,
They're cousins.
Yeah. God. He's so great. He cares about cream puffs and his family, and that's it. And even then, it's just like, I like that, so I like that. Like it's so direct.
and
it's
his
not like
friends.
friends, my family, I have to fight. Like none of that. It's just like, I'll punch you in the face. And that's like. And like also the Quidditch match where he's just like, he jumps in the air and he's just moving his feet so fast he's flying, and then he curveballs the ball. So many, and they're like, you have like 10 minutes, but we're like 40, we're losing, and then he just gets like 999 points, and everyone's like, and then when he gets credited in the newspaper, he's like, the kind words of my upperclassmen was what encouraged me to go. Like it's just such a flat sentence. I don't know. He's so much fun. I loved like going from something that like was like slightly more serious with Skip Beat of like, you know, like I want to achieve this goal, but there's like more complex elements to it, to something that was just a like flat out like enjoyment kind of like gag comedy manga. And they were like very, very vastly different, but they were both things that I really wanted to get back to reading. So I'm really glad that, you know, Mashle worked so well for you guys.
Yeah, I loved Mashle. It was like I was having the time of my life basically. Even though I was just like reading few hours, I just completed few hours back, and I was like, oh my god, this was like it hooked me on from the first chapter because I was like, oh my god, 8 chapters, how am I gonna complete this? But then it just flew through
It was
like
so easy to read.
yes.
I didn't even realize how many chapters I had read until I looked up. I was like, how many chapters are in volume 1? And I was like, oh, I only have 2 more chapters to go. Oh, I didn't realize I read 6 chapters and realized it so quickly. So it was great.
Yeah, Mashle did read a little bit faster than Skip Beat, but that might just because of
for
the
sure. But like a lot less text, a lot less like emotion of whatever. But it was him just being like, "Oh, yay, Whoopi, I'll be one of your friends." Like, you know, he's just such a like flat.
The way he shows excitement and happiness with a straight face gets me all the time.
The only thing he thinks about is cream puffs with that kind of.
God.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's great because he did such a good job of also like exposing what normally would be like a big betrayal moment. So like the girl who has to keep him back, or the friend who's like been doing stuff for that like bully character, and like he's just like, oh well, I figured maybe like you also had personal reasons like me, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
And like then like he has a little bit more to him than just like I should get to the end. But he thinks enough about other people that he isn't like callous. Like he's humble, but he's not callous about it, you know?
I don't think so. He fakes it, but I just feel it. It's like he just thinks like in a way, like on the spot, whatever he thinks, he does it. Like he doesn't give it a second thought. Okay, so I did. He leaves her at first, right, the girl, but then he realizes, okay, maybe she had issues, so let me go back and get her back. So I feel it's like on the spur of the moment he thought that, so let me just do it. Like, you know, I'll try my best luck, or like, you know, as he tells the professor that okay, I had to try, right? Someone had to try, so I did it and I got it. Like he was so
it's
easy
so
about
funny
everything.
Yeah, because that's exactly what he'll say, where he's like, oh, I figured I should try this. And then the Dumbledore person's like, excellent, we need somebody who has to protect the weak, who values the strong. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, so that's you. Oh, you're the perfect candidate to be this victory person. And he's just like, cool, thank you. Like, he's just so like, you know, this is what I did. And then it just gets interpreted as this like very heroic statement. And meanwhile, he's just like, I'm gonna go to sleep and eat cream puffs all day. Like this is all I need. This is what I want. He's such a simple character, but it just creates like such an atmosphere, you know.
I love simple characters.
Oh, go ahead, Preet.
No. Also, one more thing, if you would have noticed, he had this one shonen protagonist trait that he cannot take a lot of information, because when the Dumbledore character tells him that okay, to be on the top, you have to get these many points, like, you know, the silver, gold, and he's like, okay, what were you even talking about? Like,
I'm sleeping. He's not even
like, for a second.
And he's like, never mind. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So. Oh, this is exciting. I have submitted Mashle to my library for purchase. You've all convinced me. Yes.
Do it. It's so good. It's good, better than
honestly. and it's a recent release, right? That's what I saw. It got released in 2020.
I saw last year.
Yeah, I think it's pretty new.
Yeah. I like that it was a good interpretation of like the chosen one trope, because usually the chosen one like has a specific goal and they're like working through all these obstacles, and he's literally just trying to live his best life, and everyone is like pushing him through to the next thing. Like, whatever.
He's like, okay, you're my obstacle. Let me punch you and get the head out of you. Like, I mean, obviously he doesn't go punch everyone, but then he's like, if you get ahead with me, I will go and punch you. And literally that part was so hilarious when he punched the guy, and then vice principal comes, he punches him, and everyone's like, okay, what's going on?
And he's just like, I'll bury you in the ground. You can lock me up, and then I'll dig my way out, and then I'll bury you in your grave.
Yeah, that's what. I'll bury you in your grave.
Oh God.
So great. So
Good
yeah,
time.
I definitely want to continue with this series as well. It
Mhm.
sounds like you guys.
Yes.
Do we have a star rating? Anybody?
5
stars?
Definitely 5. Yeah, definitely. I love that so much. Like, honestly. What about you guys? Did you guys rate it, or haven't?
Yeah,
You
I
guys
gave
haven't?
it a 4, but it's sitting at like 4.5.
Yeah, I think I gave it a 4 as well. I really liked it. I'm excited to see what else happens. I think it's just like a fun one. Like it's not really something that needs to be like fully analyzed of like, does it deserve a higher rating or like a 4.5, 4.25, 4.35? Like I'm just like, it was good. It was fun. I had a great time. I'm ready for more.
It's more like a chill read. Like, I enjoyed it. So like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we are just about wrapping up. So Preet, do you again want to just let everybody know what we'll be reading for next month before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so we'll be reading volume 1, 2, and 3 of Demon Slayer and volume 1 of Given. And I hope you guys join us in our next. Yeah.
Woo.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys for chatting, of course, and thanks to everybody who came and everybody who's watching the broadcast afterwards. Of course, we will be in the Discord and on Twitter and everything, so if you ever get around to reading Skip Beat or Mashle and you want to let us know how you feel, let us know in the Discord or in the comments over here. Please go subscribe to everybody who is in the host club. Everyone's linked down below, of course, and thanks so much for coming to the discussion. We'll see you next time. Bye.